Welcome to Safe, Efficient, Profitable, a worker safety podcast, where we break down real problems from real situations and discuss realistic solutions. And here are your hosts, owners of Allen Safety LLC, Joe and Jen Allen.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back.
Another great episode. How to manage training.
Yeah.
I mean,
did you notice that we're both matching today?
yes.
I got my black
Did
shirt.
you call each other?
Maybe
Hey,
I
what
did.
are you wearing?
Maybe I did.
What color's your headphones going to be today?
You know why I really wore this?
What?
Because I was just thinking about. So we were at a plant a couple years ago, and you were like, "Well, yeah, I got my black pants on. I'm ready to go. We're gonna make stuff happen today." So I got my black shirt on. I'm gonna make stuff happen today.
There you go. How to manage training. One of the things is you better dress properly.
I guess so.
Because let me tell you something. If you're getting ready to manage training, and the first thing you do is you decide who you're going to hire, and the first thing you do is meet them, and they don't look like they're dressed for anybody else in the place. Is this really the right person we've hired? I mean, I'm really, yeah.
So
don't be wearing shorts to a food plant, all right? And don't be wearing open-toed shoes, you know.
Yeah, so we went to do the chemical evaluation, and everybody showed up. I was
in
on
suits.
The buying side in suits at a chemical plant.
And I'm dressed like I normally am for those people. By the way, on YouTube, you can see us. On the podcast, you can hear us. But anyway, yes, I dress like we're going to go get dirty at a chemical plant, and everyone else had a suit. So if you're going to manage training and you meet that trainer or you see
they
them,
don't know what's going on.
They should look the same way.
They're not wearing the right apparel. It should raise a question. That goes back to are they an expert?
Let's go back to what makes a good trainer. Dress appropriately. So
yeah. So the biggest thing when you're trying to manage training is, what do you need? Not like what you think you need, not what people are verbally saying.
What's the goal of this whole thing? Why are we even spending time talking about it?
What are we doing? So, we talk about, well, I need hazmat training. When can you come in and do a 40-hour? Never, because you're talking about responding to an emergency, not haz waste cleanup and disposal. So never is when I'm going to do a 40-hour. That is not what you're wanting. No. And then I'm just rooking you over, and that's rude. So we're not going to do that. So I think the biggest thing is just figuring out what are your goals, and then past that, like, what are the absolutes? Like, we would like for this to happen, but we've got to have these three things for sure, though. So, is that the most important thing? Is the number of people you train? Is it training on nights or weekends or
Absolutely.
A specific day? Like, what is an absolute for you?
Yeah, you got to
working through that.
You got to figure out. Say, I want 6 people trained. Do I want one from department, one from the whole department? Sometimes on Sundays we'll train all of one department because it's their day. That's our crossover day. Some other days you want...
Or you train them all on one shift?
Yeah.
All across, scattered across multiple? Is it multiple locations involved, or is it just one location?
So first thing you got to do is you got to start... So you may have a matrix, you may start a tracking mechanism, you may do, calls with your teams and how we want to manage. But the first thing you do is figure out how you want your puzzle to go.
Yeah.
So that you can get the right training.
Are there any prerequisites for those people? Because
Absolutely.
You may have to evaluate based on the people we're selecting that we think need this. Well, is this the first level, or is the second level? And does everybody... So when you're talking about the training matrix and tracking that through, that's super important. I mean, you want to be able to know if this is a refresher, well, have they had the primary
Absolutely.
One first, and are they within the required timelines, forklift training and stuff like that? You got to track all that out somehow. So yeah, for sure, the training matrix, and then figuring out who
resources.
Yep.
You're going to be spending money.
Well, yeah. I mean, the goal is always, let's get the most out of this that we can. If we're going to spend the time and energy to set this up, let's get the most, productivity and the most efficiency per class. So, I mean, it still costs to pull people out, even if you're doing the training.
Whether someone else is doing coverage and paying overtime. Yeah, there's still a cost to it. Whether you do internal, external,
or whatever.
Yep.
So, and there's still a cost if you're going to send them out, because you've got things like, we're going to go send them to a different plant, or a holiday in class, a conference. So, whether I'm sending them in a conference room at a Holiday Inn,
right,
there's still a cost to that, because now I'm looking at, well, do I have a hotel? Do I have food for how many people? Do I have hotel, travel, airfare? There's still cost to all of that on both sides. So you really got to evaluate, here's what my cost is. And then you can almost kind of break it down per person of, how much is it really costing me per head and you can start managing costs a little bit that way. And there could be different costs whether you're doing nights, because like you said, you've got that cost differential of night shift, overtime, weekends. You may have that, but some of my locations don't, because that's their normal work day. It's not a weekend to them.
For those you don't know,
or they normally work 12s. It's not weird to them.
We're called a realistic company. And what that means is that we understand you work.
Not a fake company.
We understand you work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if I have a choice, Sunday, I have Saturday and Sunday coming up on training. That's the best days for them when they're doing the actual work. That's the day we're training.
They're not coming in on an off shift when they normally work thirds. They're not coming in on
I like training.
I don't want tired people in my training, because tired people don't learn well. And they don't engage in the training well either.
And sometimes you have to, and that's fine. But if you have a choice, you try to cover it. I mean, there's a lot of times we do a day shift, and next day we do seconds, and the next day we do seconds/thirds. I mean, you got to manage and help them out when you're managing those people. You got to figure out how you still got to shift coverage and supervisor support and everything else.
So part of how you're managing your training is just, figuring out when is the right time to train them. Because like I say, the goal would be, in a perfect world, it's not necessarily always an absolute, but the goal is to have rested people in the training.
Yeah. The goal is, it could be time of year. It could be, what they've done. We picked up work after the pandemic, and one of the things we did was there was a lot of trainers said, we're not going to come on your site and do training. My whole deal was, would you expect them to do that job task tomorrow? Yes or no? Yes. Would you expect them to do it in the environment they're in? Yes. Then you have to train them in that environment.
You got to find somebody willing to do it. Yeah. Which it was also weird to me that they were like, yeah, I'm a safety trainer, but I don't know how to safely train you on this job task.
Yeah. That's the worst time in history.
Again, that goes back to, are you an expert?
Right. So other episodes, expert, what makes a good trainer. But the point is, you part of the managing and evaluating the trainers or whatever it is, internal, external, you still have to get the end goal accomplished.
And so that may make a short list for you. I mean, if you're way out and very remote, you may have limited people who are willing to travel out there to do the training.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, part of it is if it's an absolute, you want to train on your location and you're remote, that automatically shortens your list.
Absolutely.
You're managing less right off the bat. So there you go. So, those of us who know us too, know that we do a lot with live events, and those could be any time. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're usually in the most inconvenient times.
Absolutely.
Because that's something's going on.
I think every chemical league wants to be on the weekends or at night.
Yeah, or on a holiday.
Yeah.
On a holiday. So. A lot of Thanksgiving. I don't know what's up with that. But I think the biggest thing is people want to know, are they on their own the second that they leave the training and they walk out the door from a place, or the trainer leaves the property and, sent their final bill? Are they totally on their own? Part of it is they've got to figure out does this individual, are they going to help me after stuff marinades for a little bit and I have more questions? Can I call them? Or are they going to say, well, you got to set up another class. We're done here.
The way I look at it from the beginning of this company, you are going to have other questions. If you did a good job training and you were the right trainer, then they should have more questions later.
Well, the goal is for them to continue to think about it and apply it to other stuff after you leave.
So call us and we'll answer. We don't charge for that. We don't charge for a lot of stuff that people have questions about, even some of these events. And if you know us, you know more about it. But the point of it is that I believe,
if you know, you know.
My point of it is you need to ask what you're really getting for the pack. What are you getting with a cost? I'm not saying external is better. I'm not saying one company's better than the other. They know what you're getting. What is your real cost?
If that's important to you, though, then safe is
I have insurance. I make enough money, but I still have insurance. I don't go out there and buy a boat and be like, why am I going to have insurance? I'm like, no, I want insurance.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So, if that's something important to you that you want to be able to ask questions throughout the year, community college may not be a good option for you, because usually in most circumstances, you got to figure out what
your real cost and real expectations.
That's not something that's going to happen. So
we want to know what the costs are. So give me some examples.
Manage the cost. So, there's some weird stuff going on right now. Are there extra fees? There's a lot of people doing this weird thing of, we didn't make much during the pandemic, so we're going to try and make everything we can right now. So they're putting on these weird fees.
It's called make up for lost revenue.
Yeah, so they're doing these weird fees where, consultants will be charging, or contractors will be charging for their entire travel day to get to your location, for their time, and then also their cost of their travel. So it takes me 8 hours to drive.
Which we don't charge for the travel day.
No, we don't, because I think that's weird. But so they charge for their time for the 8 hours, and then they're charging for the rental car and the fuel and the food and I'm like, okay, but I thought that used to just be included. Yeah. I don't know what's going on there. So that's weird. They're having this other thing that they're tacking on, consumables. So if there's equipment that
You're
they're
drinking coffee,
using.
and I got to pay for your coffee now. I mean,
Yeah, if you
did you
need an
drink 3 cups of
if you
coffee?
need an electrical glove, if you need a welding glove, if you need some kind of equipment while you're there.
I thought I heard you do the welder. So
Well,
why don't you have
I
gloves?
thought you were the expert, and you had. That's why I called you because you're a welding
Right.
company. I thought you were bringing it with you.
And watch out for your 1099s. There's a ton of those out there right now. What
Yep.
that means is that your company we're a W-2 company. What that means is all my team is a W-2 and all my team has continuing education training. All my team has to do certain things.
They do this every day, all day.
There's
This
so
isn't
many
like
places
I'm
I
trying
go.
to make money on the side.
There's so many
type thing.
places I go where the company may be there, but the person has never done it, never been part of it. And you're like, okay, that's weird. So,
That is weird.
All right, so talk about so for example, even our company, you're going to manage training. Well, we have multiple people that work in our company. We have a certain amount of percentage that we all can do because we have to be able to cover each other in case something goes wrong. But we each have it broke down. Brian, way better social litigation than I am, way better. He's bar none the expert in our company. Me, I'm better at the sanitation side. Why? Because I spent a zillion hours doing it.
Well, yeah, and in terms of just understanding how the emergencies flow into regular safety and how they relate into the sanitation side and just the general running the business
Absolutely.
efficiencies and productivity.
I'm a business owner, so I'm always looking at that. I can't turn that off.
And
I can't turn
that's
that off.
always there. Yeah.
Jen, she's more of the systems and processes mechanic. She's more the engineering side. If anyone's ever been with us when we're managing anything, I'll say to her, hey, do you think we could do this better without PPE, better without people? And she's more the mechanical side. Why don't we add a conveyor? Why couldn't we do this? And then you got Guy. I mean, everybody knows me. I don't really like writing procedures. I do them, but Guy's 10,000 times better at it than I am.
He's fast. Yeah.
He's fast.
really
He's better.
fast.
He's efficient. And we're done. And then you got George. He knows so much about the businesses and so much about the crossover. And he's
he did safety and production.
Yeah, and he's
also
bilingual. So he can. Each one of my team can push the company into a different level that I can't individually do. And that's what you should be doing. If you're managing training, you want all your trainers to add value to your business in multiple tiers.
So it goes back to when I am selecting a company or a trainer, or I've got to figure out what my goals really are, because that may change who I'm asking to be sent based on what I'm trying to accomplish.
If you're managing massive chemical problems, massive chemical issues, I'm usually the one that's going to go. Which means somebody's got to cover me if I'm supposed to be somewhere tomorrow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I've got something that's like, we got some stuff that we got in the next few days, it's 5 days procedure writing. I am not the most, and to keep costs down for the end user and to make them have a better product, it would not be efficient me going.
No,
being a safe, efficient, profitable company means I have to evaluate when it's not efficient, profitable for the end user and manage that better.
Well, it's the technology. I mean, it's just he's faster at it. Guy's faster at it, but you're the reviewer.
Right. For those who don't know, I still review everything.
Yeah.
So I'm still the expert for that. So that's what you do. When you're managing it, you have to manage your team. So we manage our systems the same as we're telling you to help manage, because we're still managing all across the country in different time zones and different days and different weeks and different customers. We still have that influx.
Well, and it's also selecting the right trainer based on the dynamics at your own location.
Absolutely.
Because not every location has the same dynamics and the same vibe.
Absolutely.
So not every trainer that I have on my staff is going to be a great fit personality wise, because they all have personalities. Each plant has a personality. All my trainers have a different personality. And so I've got to match that up. And so that's also what you're looking for when you're managing the training, including if you're doing it internal, is trying to make sure that you're selecting the right trainer that has the right fit and relationship, or that's they're going to work well with the people that they're training and can relate to them.
Absolutely.
The relatability is huge.
And you want to be able to compare.
What am I really getting? And then what is the list of fees and costs and everything else? Because like I say, you've got all these weird fees that everybody's tacking on.
Or you always hear, this is what it costs, and we had these unexpected expenses. Well, then manage your business better. We don't.
That's not my problem.
We charge a rate. You pay that rate. And if I messed everything up, that's my problem.
Yeah, if my team can't book an airline ticket
that's my problem.
The last minute and it charges me $1,000 one way, I don't charge that back.
No. That's not your fault. It's our fault not managing.
Tighten down my side to try and figure it out.
So when you're managing a cost or managing internal, external, managing training, you got to be equal. You got to find what the real list is.
Well, and everybody's gotten so good with all the marketing stuff out there. Everybody's gotten really, really good at making it all look the same. Like we're we're the same level of quality
even though there's
whatever.
Even though there's companies you knew and you loved 5 years ago, there's a thing called sell your business right now.
Yeah.
What
We
that
get calls
is,
for it all
I
the
get
time.
calls and emails all the time. Do you want
Yeah.
to sell your business? And I know a lot of people have. So you may hire company one, but they're not the same business they were. Now they're owned and ran completely different. So you still have to evaluate every year. Who do we want to bring in and what do we want to do? And I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great because even if people say we don't think you're the right fit, Joe, I'm okay with that because
Yeah.
we want you to get the best product that's your fit. Now that fit could be whether you do stuff on different platforms or different ways of doing it. Everybody has a way they want to do it, how they want to manage it themselves.
Well, that's what I'm saying. From the contractor side, I know, especially not just necessarily from the trainer, but just across the board, there's been everybody kind of moving around and selling things, and employees hopping from one company to another company. So you take something like PSM, a refrigeration equipment installer. I can think about 3 or 4 off the top of my head. It's a pretty short list, though, of who I would personally recommend to do stuff. And even still, those companies may have some opportunities with specific employees that we would want some over others.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's really, really just asking the questions and being more detailed than ever because, like I say, everybody's gotten really good at making it all look the same. We're all using the same marketing stuff, make it look shiny and pretty.
Watch for the stuff people are selling. We've talked more than once in these podcasts about coming out of the pandemic and all these other
upselling.
Yeah, you gotta do your job. If you're going to be a good trainer out there, do your job. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. And if you're going to be managing trainer, internal, external, keep them on job task.
Yeah, I don't need to hear about the other 7 services you do or the equipment you sell on the side.
Do the job you're hired to do first for that $10 and then go from there. Yeah. Do your job first. All right, the next one is you got costs of doing the training, internal or external. There's certain costs you're going to have, and those could be travel, hotel, food, fuel, car, all these wild things that we have to pay. Everyone has to pay them. Not just us.
And you go back to your goal of so what is my return on this investment?
Yeah.
And am I picking the right version? Are
you going to send me to a conference and I have to come back with no data? Well, that's called a vacation.
That's a vacation.
That's not a conference. Have you ever noticed how many people, because we're a Florida-based company, it's amazing how many people go to conferences in Florida. And most of them don't go by themselves.
No, they don't.
So, and it's not saying it's right or wrong, but make sure you're not doing it. You should get a return on investment.
Well, and so that's the other thing. If you're like, you know what, I'm going to send my employee this 2-day train the trainer course, and then they're going to be able to come back and look at all the training they're going to do. You have to really make sure you understand what's included in that syllabus, though, to make sure that it's relevant, because you talked in one of the podcasts about if they're not covering how to be a trainer, though, they're only covering the data, then
that's not part of training.
There's still a component that's missing there. Or if
it's so general that they don't know anything. Did they really get any training?
The problem is the application in the field. So if we go to a train the trainer class and it's for 16 different companies at a location that is general, a conference room or that company's site or something, it makes it difficult depending on the person who's going. Sometimes there's an issue with translating that on how they're going to do it at your site, and that's part of the managing is understanding who we should be sending.
Absolutely. Here's the way I look at it. I'm a business owner. If I'm going to send you to go to a class, I expect a result and a return when you come back, and we should make our business better. If I don't have that, whatever class, whatever course, then it's irrelevant.
Well, right. And, professional development is part of that, too. There's been this weird trend lately where we're seeing people, being offered opportunities to do professional development, or they're requesting opportunities to do professional development. So that's going and getting, becoming a refrigeration tech, or getting a CSP, or getting some kind, or an EMT certification or something.
Yeah, we call it educate so you can get a better job somewhere else.
Yeah.
You spend all your time and money taking our money and time, so you're going to help the business, but you end up leaving.
Right, but the whole time they weren't at the business,
correct.
Right? They were gone because they were studying and they weren't moving your business forward. And
I believe in direct returns. I believe anything you spend money on, you should get a return on it.
Well, and so that's part of it, is determining who is going to be even having these opportunities open to them to take advantage of. Right, do you have to be here for a certain amount of time to show that you're loyal to the company? And you're not going to just bail.
I'll give you an example. I have a lot of plants of refrigeration. I've been to a lot of different training for refrigeration. I don't believe at all that you should get hired in the next few days. You go to a course because part of the course should be you have a certain amount of knowledge where you go.
Yeah, or
So
else it's not super
so if
helpful,
you
to be
ask any
honest.
location I have, I'm going to tell you, if you hire somebody, they need to be there for a few months learning your systems, your ideas
Yeah.
before you go to that course. Because if you don't watch it, you'll train them and everything and they
Educate
leave.
them to leave. Yep.
That's not
And now
fair.
they make more money down the road.
Yeah, it's not fair. I'm very much in ethics, and I don't think that's right. So the point of it is how you manage it, though, is what you got to look at.
Well, and just understanding what some of these things actually mean when you break them down, like a certification. I'm going to go get a 10-hour certification for OSHA or 30-hour. I'm going to take a 30-hour class. What does that mean? What are you physically?
Because
What's the
if you're
person
HR
physically
or
doing?
an ops manager and you're sending them to it, you just are Googling and someone says, send them to a 10-hour. You
You're like, okay.
You have no idea what value you're getting out or not. And that's where I go back to. If you want to do that, fine. But you should say,
There's
here's
versions.
the list of expectations I want when you come back. And there's different class, different versions.
Find a class that meets these, right?
Yeah,
Like,
find out your list first.
like the CSP. So, why are we getting a CSP? What does that even mean?
Where's the value I get back from my company?
Well, so here's my thing with the CSP. I'm not saying that there's not excellent safety people that also have a CSP. But I've seen a lot of safety people who are not excellent safety people that have a CSP.
And I've seen vice versa. I've seen some amazing people who have no certifications.
Yeah.
And all we're saying is it's not the certifications are right or wrong. You got to evaluate if you're going to manage training. You're managing training. How are you going to manage all this as you go through the year?
Right. Like did you know that you don't even have to, or that you can't sit for the CSP based on your time in the industry?
Because you can Google that. Yeah.
So you can't just, so that raises a flag to me of like, well, what is the test for then if I can't, based on years in industry, have somebody go and take it? Like what are they testing for if it's not experience and understanding how to apply the code in the field?
Absolutely.
What is it for then?
But there's all kinds of certifications, and that's what we're talking about. All kinds of certifications, all kinds of training. If you're going to send someone out to get something or have something, figure out what the goal you have for them before you do it.
Yeah.
And does that meet the goal? Because there's so many things in different ways you can get training now. You got to target what your end result is.
And there's so many different conferences too.
There's tons of them now. We Googled them the other day just to see, and it was wild.
Well, based on where you are with your safety culture, some are going to be better than others. Better fits because,
you grow. You should grow.
You should grow. So, I mean, part of it, if you got people saying, well, we want to go to this conference, well, who's presenting there and what are they covering? Is it stuff we all implemented 10 years ago? Or, what's going on with that? Because if it is, well, then they're not able to provide value. Now, if it's all new information, well, then okay. But who are the speakers? Like, when was the last time they were in the field? You know what I mean?
Again, for those of you who don't know about me, I number one fear I've had the entire time we've owned this company is I did not want to lose touch with how it really moves in the field.
Well, and that's what ends up happening at a lot of conferences.
I see so many people at conferences, trainers have been doing that so long that they are.
Well, that's all they do. They do like the conference cycle. But the thing that's weird about the conferences to me is you don't get paid to be a presenter.
No, for those of you who don't know, you usually pay your own way and you give up your time and you give up your ideas.
And I'm if you're just kicking it as a trainer, you're not going to take a day off to make nothing to give away your ideas for free.
Not always. No.
Unless you're
there's a value in being a presenter, and there's a value in talking to people. I think that's admirable. But at the same time, you have to be realistic about what
are they providing?
If
they're not getting anything for it, what are they providing? And like I say, based on where you are in your safety journey,
absolutely,
it's going to have varying levels of applicability to what you're trying to do.
If you're trying to learn basic safe stuff, a 10-hour,
I think they're great for that.
A 10-hour may be fine. If you go to a conference, say, how do I get general? I see a lot of people go to those. It's great. If you're looking and
going through the booths is always good. I mean, you could actually get some value out of what's going on going through. But
if you want to be like 7th tier advanced level safety professional, you call yourself. There is a point in history where you kind of hit a limit, and there's not much stuff over that.
There's not a lot going on at the conferences for that level of
So you have to evaluate the stage you're at and where you're at in your career, and evaluate where you're going and what you're getting out of it. And then, like I said, if you're going to come down to Florida, that's great. We love Florida. It's hot. It's beautiful. Got the beach. But just realize that if you are sending people there, ask them what they did Friday. Because if you've ever been to those, because I still go to the conferences, so let's keep it real. I still go to them, and we're going to some next year. So like I said, they do have value. But I also understand that Fridays are the small suitcase ready to leave early flight, or that we're going to the beach day.
Yeah.
So if I'm an instructor at a conference, I'm like, I hope I'm Monday through Thursday.
No kidding. Yeah, I'm trying to leave.
Yes.
Not at the right place.
So the point of it is everything that you're sending people out when you're managing,
Just understand what
you're really paying for.
it's not the pretty glittery marketing message that is marketed to solve all your problems in my world. It's everything has pros and cons. And I
Yes.
don't know how you make an educated decision if you don't understand both sides, because I don't know much of anything that is just as a fix all and you do this one thing and it's going to
Right.
solve all the world's problems. But that's how everything's marketed.
Yep.
So, I mean, you just have to be realistic about what are my goals and then what of that list will this item fix? Because it's not going to fix everything.
Risk
it's just going to
reduction.
fix some.
No matter what you pay for and what you send your people to, you should have risk reduction.
Yep. And you should have some kind of tangible, it moved the business forward.
Absolutely.
You should be able to like see a difference. There should be something we're rolling out, something we did better, some kind of benefit that we can point to be like, well, we spent money on this and here's all the things we got out of it that made the business better, saved us money or whatever, improved people's work environment or whatever the case is. It should be better somehow.
Absolutely.
That's my biggest thing.
So for this one, managing training, you got to manage the people internally that you're training that may need communication or other opportunities. You have the managing the training where they're going to have internal trainers or external trainers. You got to have managing who's going to go to training. And managing the training if you don't watch it, becomes its own job during the year.
Yeah.
When you look at how many employees need lockout training and how many employees need forklift training, I mean, the training and managing it can be a big piece of the puzzle. And sometimes because it is so big, it does get sections of it lost. So all we're asking you is go back, relook at your business and start breaking down, well, how many times do we really train here? And how do we manage this really? And it's amazing how many, you may find some opportunities for you.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's all I got today.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to Safe, Efficient, Profitable, a worker safety podcast. If you like what you heard here, please take a moment to write us a quick review, like, subscribe, and share our podcast so that others can find us. For questions or to request topics that you'd like to hear on our next show, please visit us at www.allen-safety.com. Thank you.